Real hard about what you want to be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball, and it is so good to have you with us. Last week, we had Tim Chapman, Microsoft Principal Cloud Solution Architect, on the show. We talked about the importance of taking time off during the holiday season. And with this holiday season well underway, we hope you will be doing just that. Tim also shared a death-defying challenge that he undertook as part of his summer vacation. Plus, we had our Thursday Community Roundtable. You don't want to miss a minute of those shows, so make sure and check us out on YouTube. If this is your first time finding your way to our channel, please give this video a like and also a subscribe to our channel. Want to interact with the show? It's easy. We are streaming on Tales from the Field, Neeraj Jafari, Josh Ludeman's Sequel Balls over on Twitter, on LinkedIn under Sequel Balls, also at our YouTube channel. Make a comment on any one of those streams, and one of my fabulous co-hosts will look at this and add the comment to the screen. Not easy for me to say. Sorry about that, but you're all fabulous. Before we go any further, let's introduce those co-hosts. I am joined by Andreas Padilla, Josh Ludeman, and talking to him is almost as good as a Wrexham football win. Almost. The one, the only, your friend and mine, Neeraj Jafari. I'm hosting, and this week our topic is career advice. Give a valuable piece of advice as you enter into the new year. As if it couldn't get any better than that, we are joined by, well, this man needs no introduction. This is Adam Saxton, Principal Program Manager from the Power BI CAT team. He is one half of the dynamic duo that is Guy in a Cube. He is an internationally known conference speaker. He is prolific. Guy in a Cube channel has over 305,000 subscribers as of today. Adam, thank you so much for being here.
Yo, what's up, everyone?
Welcome to the party.
Excellent. Andreas, you believe this shit? We got Adam Saxton on the show.
This is bananas.
Yeah.
Bring in a little.
Get ready
pack.
for that bleep
Bring in a
button.
little pack.
Shut the front door. And did we just get legitimized? Did our show just get legitimized?
I think we just delegitimized Adam's show.
We're all friends here.
It went the other way.
So I guess a quick reminder of the show and the rules. So Tuesday is our hosting show. I am the host. I cannot be the host 2 weeks in a row. The topic, as we've already talked about, is career advice for the new year. And so I will be awarding points. Josh, Andreas, and Neeraj will be playing for hosting duties. They're going to discuss what this topic means to them. And then Adam and I get to award whatever points we want. But before we get to the points and we get to the game, Adam, I'd love to just talk with you. You've had an amazing career on resume, on paper. I'm sure a lot of people look at your career and they go, wow, he's done everything. He is a success. The truth is, as we know, with any career, it's equal parts hard work and preparation. And then there's a little bit of luck. There's opportunity that comes along, and it allows you to be able to find that success and carve your way. This has also taken years of work. We didn't start at this point. How do you move Mount Fuji one bucket of dirt at a time? So one of the things that I would love to understand is, let's talk about how you kind of got to where you are in your career. Yeah. And then also advice and guidance that you've learned along the way that you might want to give to other folks as we get to the new year.
Love that. Love the topic too. And thanks for having me on the show. I absolutely agree with you. It's a lot of work. And anyone that tells you otherwise is not being honest with you. I remember it was just looking at the Guy in a Cube stuff where we're at today. That was years of just early mornings and weekends of editing and recording and all that we did on our own time. Like, we didn't do that during our day job. We have a day job also, right? So it's that's the work that put in there. I've been grateful that my wife has been very supportive on that along the way, and putting up with all of my shenanigans and wants for gear and technology and pushing the boundaries. So yeah, so it's a lot of work. In terms of just overall career and getting started, I've been fortunate through my career that I've been surrounded by really, really smart people that have just helped me along the way. So one thing I'll throw out there is everyone talks about you need to get a mentor. You need to get a mentor, and they try and make this so formal. And even within Microsoft, I remember when I was in support, they were like, you need to have a mentor and check off this box. And to me, that's just not authentic. And like, I don't think you get the value out of it, of what the intent is. And so usually what I've always done in my career is I look around, and you can tell whatever group that you're in, whatever job you have, if you look around at those that surround you, you're going to see those that are influential, that are helping push the business forward, that maybe they're not even like, like managers or, official leaders. Like they're influencers, right? They're people that have the hearing of the leaders. They have the ear. And they're doing the right things, right? They're the successful ones in the business. Like align with them, like figure out how they're doing it, figure out what's making them successful and learn from them and try and do that. So I did that throughout the majority of my support career. You had a guest on a few weeks ago, Bob Ward. He was my mentor for a very long time.
Wow.
I sat next to him in the Las Colinas office in DFW for about 8 years. And so sitting next to him, like you just learn things. And I was fortunate enough that he helped to get me sitting right next to him to have that opportunity. And what he told me was he did like this weekly case triage on SQL Server. And someone just told me like, just go into that. And I was supporting reporting services and analysis services. I'm like, I don't do SQL Server. Like that's not my thing. There's no value for me. And they're like, no, go do that. And I just started and I asked questions, and he came to me and says, you ask good questions. And then that relationship just evolved, right? So it's coming at it with authenticity and not badgering people, but just asking relevant, good questions, engaging them, and not just trying to make things up for the sake of making it up. So that's a big thing. And that develops those relationships and the networking. And for me at Microsoft, I think the networking piece of it and having those relationships has been the number one thing.
I completely agree. It's interesting. So we've got some folks from LinkedIn. The first thing that was said, I've always thought that random mentoring assignment programs miss the whole point of mentoring. Real mentoring relationships happen because people have a bunch of characteristics that means the mentoring will work for the pair of people.
Yep.
I agree with that. I wanted to circle back on that because it's interesting, right? I have had multiple points in time in my career when all of a sudden, I think I first started working in the SQL community, and I immediately started getting presentations or I was going to conferences, and people assumed that I had some plan or I had some vision that I honestly didn't. I got very, very lucky. And one of the things I looked at was oftentimes people would go, oh yeah, we're working on this mentoring thing. Like they would talk to me like, yeah, here's the concept of the mentoring we're looking at doing for other people. And I couldn't help but go, I'd like a mentor. I don't really know what I'm doing. What is it that you find useful about good mentors that you've had?
So one of the things I've learned, and I try to emulate that, is someone that has the heart of a teacher, right? So they're not just going to tell you this is the answer, right? So like, how do you go learn for yourself? Like, how did you go about doing this? Like, what did you search on? Like, how did you even know this existed? And understanding those items, and then showing them that, right? That's a big thing. So I'm not looking for the quick answer. I'm not, everyone gets in the heat of the moment. You're in a crisis of some kind. You just need to move on and you need that quick answer. That happens. I get it. But when you're actually learning to evolve your career and push yourself, you need to find that person that's going to really help you. And they exist. You just got to find them and be patient with it. It takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. And it happens it's like the baby steps, right? It's not, you're not just going to get 1 hour meeting and bam, like you're just that's what's going on. Or as Patrick would say, bam. Right. So, it just doesn't happen immediately. And so it evolves over time. And as you ask more questions, that's like with Bob, that's how it happened. Right. I just asked questions and I kept asking questions. And then at some point it flipped and he started asking me questions on the BI stuff and pulling me in on things. And then there were opportunities, right? They're like, oh, this person, like he's going and doing something, right? He's making an effort. He's bringing value to the table. Let's get him involved in this other thing. right? And so they start thinking about you. So there's been times when I was people had asked me like, hey, I want to get to that next level or that promotion. And when I was in Las Colinas, it was one of those things where so Bob Ward was like 3 rows down from this person. I'm like, look, if I go over to Bob, does he even know who you are? Like, if I mention your name, would he know? Like, because there's a lot of people there, right? So he doesn't know everyone intimately. And so it's one of those things. Have you made that relationship? Or, you know, the skip level of this person or the manager of their manager was, you know, a couple seats down. And I'm like, have you connected with them? Like, have you aligned to what their goals are? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, I mean, those are things you need to go do, right? So understand what the business values are, understand what the business direction is, ask those good questions, and participate, bring value to the table. This is another thing that drives me nuts, is people will go and do things for the sake of doing things. And that doesn't bring value. And so this is where I, again, align to the business, right? So what's going to make my manager's manager be successful and look good and bring value for them, right? So like what's aligning to the business? And if you need to think about the things that you're about to go do, does it do that? Does it bring that value? And if the answer is no, then don't do it. Find something else. There's plenty of opportunity. You just got to find it.
Well, and one of the things I found, and I'm curious what your thoughts on this. What's often helped me is volunteering. When I was in college, the first job I got was literally because I went and I built a volunteer website for an elementary school for volunteers. And I took that almost and I put it on personal web server on a laptop running Windows 98 to be able to show different websites I built. And I showed that, and it literally had functionality that they were trying to get done. And they stopped, they went and they got a vice president, they showed it. I beat out people who were more experienced because I had that example, but it was because I went and I volunteered. I found over and over again, there would be ways that I could volunteer to be able to help with something. Those volunteer things would often further my career. It sounds like going to those meetings that Bob's had. That was a little bit of that. Is there some of that in your career as well, where you found here's this? Well, you know, I was going to say, ironically, here's this little extra thing I'm doing, and it just takes off and has a life of its own.
Yeah, I've always looked for what those opportunities are. So like, hey, where's the need? So the example I give to folks is, I heard this term a while back, and it was basically like, find where the white space is. Find those things that bring value, but no one wants to do it. And so there's been a couple of opportunities, 3 specifically when I was in support, that helped propel me to where I am today. So the first one, people in the SQL community and the tech space that have known me, they know that I love Kerberos, right? It's this security authentication thing, if you're not familiar with it, or it's, you know, Fluffy from Harry Potter. It's all good. And the thing with Kerberos, though, was that no one wanted to touch it, right? Because it was complicated and they didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. And I'm like, you know, let me go figure this out. And I started taking cases, and then people knew that, oh, he's the Kerberos guy. Go do that. I get pinged today. And this was like 13, 14 years ago. Like I get pinged today on blog posts I posted back then saying, hey, you seem to be like the person for this. And I'm like, yeah, still today. I love it. So that was one. Another one was SharePoint integration with reporting services. When that came out, like no one wanted to touch that. Again, it was complicated. It was convoluted at the time. It was just, you know, Kerberos kind of introduced itself there as well. So I'm like, I got this. And then I kind of became that person. The other big thing, and I told people, I was like, you need to spend time on this. So in support, you spend time on things that you're getting cases on, right? So people calling in, like that's where you're going to go spend your focus, right? Because if they're not calling in on it, there's no value there, right? But sometimes you got to think about the bigger picture a little bit. And so there was this little product that was just making its way out into the space, didn't have a lot of traction. People weren't really, they're like, you know, that's not, no one's using it. It's not a big deal. It was called Power BI. And I basically said, you know what, I'm going to go do that. I'm like, give me all the cases. We got like maybe 5 in a month. Like no one wanted it. Like, give them all to me. I'll take them. And I started talking with engineering, and that's right when around the time I started Guy in a Cube. Yeah, I'm like, apparently that was a thing. So look for those opportunities. Again, all of those, though, they brought value to the business, right? They weren't just random things that I went and did. I've seen some projects where people want to go work on things that, hey, I'm going to go work on XYZ because I think this is cool. I'm like, that's awesome. I want you to go do fun things. Go do that. Like you need to have, if you have passion on something and it's fun for you, absolutely. But in the context of your business and of the business and career, does it bring value? So.
No, that's very wise. So when we were doing interview tips, one of the pieces of advice I gave was whenever I'm interviewing for a job, I will ask my last question is, especially to the hiring manager, it's 6 months down the road, you're talking to somebody and you go, man, I'm so glad I hired Bradley Ball because Bradley Ball is doing this. What am I doing? And that answer right there is more important than anything in the job description, because that answer is probably what pertains to the actual business context of the problem they're looking to solve that they want you to solve. Yep. And understanding that business context is really, really key.
Yep.
Completely agree. Yeah. That's the hard part I think for a lot of folks is being able to match it with the business. But, I think with to your point, Adam, the key really truly is so that you get invested in it is to take what you love and marry it to the business. And that's the true success, successful people too, that I found. And I think you embody that. You love doing what you do with Guy in the Cube and everything else.
I've got two loves of my life outside of my family, and that's Power BI and video production. And I can bring both of those together.
So
one of the things that Tim Chapman had told us was that we were talking about his different animals, and we were talking about Mick, and he said that you had a lot of dogs.
I do have I have a little bit of dogs. Yeah.
Okay. And so I was like, well, how many is a lot? I said 4 or 5. And he goes, no, he has a lot. So do you mind if I ask, how many dogs do you have?
I have 8 dogs.
Whoa.
The biggest dog I have is a little over 200 pounds. So he's a Euro Great Dane. The smallest dog I have is about 55 pounds, and they vary in between. So we've got 3 Great Danes, Rottweiler, a couple Shepherds, and some mix, and a Bernese Mountain Dog. So
very nice.
Yeah.
So my love is always Labradors. I've had a black lab, and I also had a chocolate lab.
Can't mix that breed with the pack. It's
no
totally different personality.
Oh yeah, I was going to say
lazy dogs. They match my personality. So
when Labradors get old, they match my personality.
Yeah, but you got to wait till they get old.
I know. That's the tough
Great
thing.
Dane. They're there right away, like 13 weeks old, and they're just laying there doing nothing. So.
Maybe I need to have a new spirit animal. I just assumed because I was old and this was all white that I was perfect for Labradors, because black labs always get that little bit of white right there on their chin.
Yeah. Yeah. Now having that many dogs, it's a whole different experience, and the pack mentality and how you introduce other dogs. And we can't introduce older dogs to the pack. It always has to be a puppy, and it can only be one puppy at a time. Because if you bring 2 puppies in, they become a sub pack. And then that causes problems. And then the older dogs will teach the younger puppy on the ways of the house. And so potty training goes really fast. So.
Awesome. So and again, this is not to imply to anybody out there that it's easy to have kids, but I remember my folks telling me, because I come from a family of 4. They said, when you run out of laps, it just feels the same. 3 is the same as 4. 4 is the same as 3. At that point in time, you're just outnumbered.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that.
I was going to say, is there a point in time, was there a certain number that you got to where that pack mentality began? Is it at 3, or do you?
3, it really happened around 4. So the 3, it was good, and they got along, but it really solidified when we had around 4 dogs, and then it just kept coming. So yeah.
There's a lot of project management metaphors right there. Yep. Yeah. I think our friend Buck is listening, because Bob knows I use the term sports ball.
Oh yeah.
Going to mentor me.
Yeah.
That sounds like our good friend Buck Woody.
Buck and I are on the same page there. So,
Well,
I always
Buck
use
is
the term
actually-
"go sports." Like,
Bob and I are convinced that Buck is actually an expert sportsman. He just plays down. We all went to what's the name of the golf place, Josh, where we went? Top Golf.
Oh,
We all went to
I
Top
love
Golf.
that place.
Ooh, Buck
That's
is
fun.
good.
Yeah.
Buck
I'm
is-
like-
I'm
Buck
good
is
at Top
pretty
Golf
good.
too, but I hate sports.
You're asking me about where we went golf place. I'm like, okay, which course? What are you talking
I
about
was gonna
here?
say, I'm like, that's a broad question.
I love that Cubs W flat. You're absolutely right. Oh, this is
Yeah,
somebody
there's
right after
Alex.
my own heart. Right
That's
there.
Alex, Mr. Powers
Hey, Alex.
himself.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Yeah, so many people from Microsoft. I'll join the call and they'll see this and they'll be like Washington State, and I'm like, the Cubs. Like it's the Cubs. Come on.
Wrong W flag. Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Excellent stuff. So I guess on to the topic at hand. If we have career advice, because we just got some great career advice from Adam. I love all the different topics. We touched on a lot of different things. Make sure that you align with your business. Volunteering is important. Making sure that you build those networking relationships, absolutely massive and huge.
I'll stop you right there on the volunteering thing. Volunteering is important, and raising your hand is great. Don't overcommit, because if you overcommit and now you can't perform, that's bad. So you gotta realize that and prioritize.
Absolutely. No, and that is key. There's a certain point in time where you're going to have to cut that back. Sorry, another quick segue.
Sorry.
Tim Pickles was a great mentor of mine when I was working for a contractor for the U.S. Army. And Tim would always send out these emails that say, I'm looking for a volunteer. Is there a volunteer that can do this? And I did a lot of those volunteer assignments, but I would get busy. And all of a sudden I would not be able to have the room to be able to do something. And I remember 2 5-year plans still exist. I hope not. I hope not, Alex.
I responded to Alex. No is an essential thing. You got to learn how to say no, and be empowered to say no. Right? Like that's the pushback. Because when you say no, or like I've also heard it done another way of like, look, I'm happy to do that. What can I get off of my plate to accommodate that? Right? What do I let go? And then they're like, well, no, you can't let go of anything. Well, then I don't have bandwidth.
Yeah.
So
you gotta think of yourself like a kitchen stove. There's only so many places that you can put a pot. And if you want me to put a new one down, I got to take one off. Which one am I taking off? And if they go, well, you can't take off any. That in
itself is hard to master, right? Like to be able to do that effectively. That took me. Wait, how long have I been at Microsoft? I'm still learning it. So it's an ongoing thing, right? But yeah,
I would say volunteering is a good thing if you're in a new place, if you're in a new position, if you're also new in your career.
But you're hungry, or you don't have the kids, you don't, the family commitments aren't all there. Like that's the time to do it.
Absolutely.
So, but take time as well. Like the thing I've learned as I've gotten older is I'm okay with, like, I understand that stuff is still going to be there tomorrow. Like it doesn't all have to be solved today. So I guess I'll take a saying from Star Trek Next Generation from Mr. Will Riker of like, maybe I'm well seasoned. Right. And it's just come a long way, and it's been a journey. So
you get there over time, but it's those bangs and those bumps, because when you do overcommit and you're sitting there at 9 or 10 p.m. working on something that somebody else could have done, you sit there and you question your life choices. And sometimes you have to do that to be able to get that bump and go, I'm not doing this again.
I did that when we got the 8th dog.
Yeah. So you're saying 7's a good number.
I love all my dogs.
I got to tell you, I absolutely love that about you. I think that's fascinating. That's so cool. So sorry, let's go ahead and do the game real quick. So we're looking for great career advice. Josh, you're up first, buddy.
Adam actually stole it just then, and that was the overcommit. That was what I had. I had that teed up, ready to go. But because it's so important, because it's easy to get caught up in the yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do that. And then next thing you know, you get excited with the yes, and then you turn around and look around at the stack behind you that you've got to get done, and you're going, Oh, so this should take about 2 weeks of all-nighters, and maybe I'll be able to crack. Okay, yeah, I can do this. But and again, to your point, Adam, you overcommit, you underdeliver.
Yeah.
I actually feel that's more negatively impactful than saying yes the right amount.
Yep.
Like you can do a lot more damage than you can do good.
Yep.
With volunteering if you overcommit and underdeliver.
It's your personal brand.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And you etch that in stone as your name and who you are going forward. So it's very, you have to tiptoe it, definitely.
Yeah.
But I'm sticking with it.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest. You started off kind of weak with the whole Adam stole my homework thing, but then you pivoted.
You brought it home,
and I felt like you stuck the landing. So I'm going to give you a solid 150 points.
To be fair, if I would have started the dog ate my homework when talking about Adam stealing my idea, that might have landed me at 200 maybe. But I'll take the 150.
I'll give you an extra 25 points on that. That's fine.
Ooh, there we go. Adam,
sweet.
170.
All right.
That's
I'm
nice.
good. I like this.
All right. So Andreas, what you got for us?
Oh, let's see if I can top Josh's. I think I can. Okay. Be your authentic self. Your voice, your authentic voice, your group and your boss should broadcast that and let you be that. Because if you can't be who you are and around them, you're not going to grow. You're not going to springboard to the next plateau. The next one is that your group and your managers are vehicles. If you get in a situation where they're could be moving you from a manager to a manager and you love that manager, say no. Stick with that person who's your vehicle. You're like, if they're advocating for you and you might get moved, do anything in your power to stop them from moving you. I did that and I said, no, I like what you're doing for me. You're advocating for me. You're promoting me. You're helping me build my brand. And I was going to get moved. And I said, you're not moving me. And I stuck with it and it's helped me out.
Nice.
The next one is that
you can do more. You can do more.
I was going to say it was supposed to be like a nice summary, but Andreas has like a bullet point.
There you go.
I'm sitting there going, what are you leaving for Neeraj?
And then the last one is that this is more of
Neeraj gets 50 points for having to go after Andreas.
Yeah. A personal approach is the more I gave, and giving is sort of a weird, a very subjective concept. But the more I gave and I helped other people within Microsoft, helped promote them, help in the sense that bubbled up their accomplishments. Sort of the good karma came back to me, and it helped me elevate to the next role. So I changed my perspective, and I come now from a giving perspective. We're like, well, how can I help the team? How can I help the business? How can I help myself? And the more I sort of tap into those giving goodies out in the world, the more I feel like I rise.
Yeah.
I'll leave it to you guys to define your own giving process, but that's mine.
So you had 3 different pieces of advice. I'm going to give each of them 100 points, but then I'm also going to divide it by 3 because you only should have had 1 turn. So that's going to put you right around 100 points.
And I'll put another 25 on for good measure.
125. Adam's got your back.
Became best friends. There you go.
Also, real quick, just circling back on Josh's comment about that I stole his item. There's a good book I'd like to recommend called "Steal Like an Artist." That is a great read and good approach on how to do things and come up with creative items.
How to do a streaming show and steal the other guy's idea before he gets to deliver it.
Yeah, but make him think that, wow, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know that Neeraj is thinking thank you right now. I see a couple thoughts in there.
So, what you got, Neeraj?
I was not planning to steal Guy in the Cube saying part 2 or version 2 of it. So a very nice advice. I mean, definitely eye opener for me. One of the advice that Josh and Adam, both of you gave taking the advice of over committing on the voluntary work and all of them. I do that. I personally do that a lot. There are times where I overcommit. I'll take it, and end of the day, I drown doing that thing. So definitely a good advice for me that I would definitely start putting in saying no to extra work. Couple of things that I would like to do is one is embrace failure. I mean, one of the things that even in your career, if you hit a blocker or hit a failure or something like that, and something that, like Adam said, right, 3 things that nobody was going to take it and you start taking it, and then maybe it might have not been successful, right? I mean, one of the things might not be successful. Don't feel that failure is going to drive down your career. It's going to learn something new out of it. That's what I think. I mean, that at the end of the day, and the second thing that I'd like and is I definitely would do is like the new era. It's a team player. You cannot be an individual thing. It is a team player. You can do anything by yourself. It is a part of a whole team. So always try to be a team player in growing your career. I mean, even if it's your own career, if others grow to along with you, it's always going to go way long.
Love that
in your career.
I do too. That's so Neeraj, you gave 2 different things, but I feel like you also had the forethought and the awareness to go, this is something I'm doing and I'm going to apply this advice. I really like that. That's 100 points. I'm going to give you, let's see, 250 for the other 2. Divide that by 2. That's 125. I'm going to have to math here. So I got a 125. I got a 50, and then I gave you 50 at the beginning because Andreas went 3 times. So I've got you at 200 right now.
Yeah, but I'm going to go big. So the whole team player concept to me that resonates, and it aligns with thinking both from a Microsoft perspective and how they want people to have impact, but also personally of like leveraging the work of others, but also enabling others' work and helping with them. So Neeraj, I'm giving you 1,000 points for that. Man. That's bananas.
Thank you.
Mic drop.
Thank you.
What the French toast?
That's
Patrick agrees.
Patrick knows I was robbed.
Yeah,
on points on that one. He was like, "What the French?"
I don't think that's what Patrick said at all.
It absolutely was, because he knows that's my favorite breakfast. He knows that's my favorite breakfast. That's why he said it.
It is not. You told me that I was a communist because I liked waffles more than pancakes. How dare you try and take French toast too? I will not stand for it, Ludeman.
French toast is number 1. Pancakes 2. Waffles, throw them in the garbage. There you go.
That's so wrong.
There it goes.
You could at least give the waffles to the dogs. I mean, come on, they're gonna like that.
No, the dogs deserve better.
But they'll take what they get.
So one comment I really like, Dan said, I was taught early on saying no was bad, and it takes a lifetime to break this bad habit. No. And he's not wrong.
I agree.
I would
I agree with that, but it's super important to be able and be empowered to say no. And so that's one of the things, like I'm actually a manager now, and this is something I talk with the folks that report to me of like feel empowered to say no. Let me know if this is too much. Like, because if you don't tell me, I'm just going to keep throwing stuff at you, right? You need to tell me when it's enough.
Absolutely. One of the things that I love when I joined Microsoft, Neil Sutton, great boss, my first manager here, he said, look, I know you're special, you're super smart, but there's about 500 people here at Microsoft that can do what you do. He goes, so don't ever think that you have to run in like Captain America, save the day. Take your time, make sure that your mental health and your family are a priority. And we talked on the show with Tim the other day, and I talked specifically about an instance where I said no to a customer because it would have had me travel an entire month where I would have missed my birthday, my son's birthday, plus some band concerts for middle school. And I went, no, I'm not going to do it. And what they do, they turned around and they said, oh yeah, no, we can move that to February when you're available. And the sun still rose the next day. I still had a job, and the Tam that was going nuts on me, he learned that I was going to say no to more of his projects in the future. Patrick, saying no is not something Adam has learned yet. We've all got some growing to do.
I'm working on it.
But
yeah, there, Patrick.
But if saying no, you need to have your manager or your team to support you out, right? I mean, it's not like easy to just say no.
Absolutely agree.
No, but if you have that support, and I think that's really key, right? Because that gets back to what Andreas was saying about the manager. If you have a good manager, that manager influences your experience. We've all had bad managers.
Yep.
And there's no reason to even throw a description in there, because I say bad manager instantaneously. Every one of us have a picture and an experience inside of our head. And that just gets burned in there. So when you have that good manager that's willing to allow you to have that capability to empower yourself, that's huge. And that's really, really key. All
Agree
right.
completely.
So Neeraj, you're the winner. Congratulations. This is our last hosting show of the year. We're going to be taking the next 2 weeks off. That does not mean we will not have content, though. We are going to have interviews with Davide Murray from the Sequel PG. We're going to have interviews with, I see Dan trying to start something. Don't start something, man. We're gonna have an interview with Karen Lopez and Alan Hurt, MVPs, great MVPs. We've also got an interview with Buck Woody and Kevin Fizel, who's a great MVP, and Buck Woody from the Azure PG. And then we're gonna have part 2 of our Sequel Acid video. We dropped the first one. We'll definitely drop the second one. Maybe it'll get a little trippy. We'll see. Anyway, we hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. Remember, we have our roundtable on Thursday. Mr. Adam Saxton, Guy in the Cube, Patrick LeBlanc, who's online as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate
you having us, or me.
Our honor. All right, everybody. Anything else that I forgot?
Have a great holiday.
Holidays.
New Year,
Holidays.
Christmas, happy holidays,
Yep.
Yeah, joyous Kwanzaa, all the good stuff.
happy Hanukkah.
Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's